personal trainer. I thought that was a good theme for tonight. So Rob Greco has been a personal trainer for many years. He's actually my personal trainer. He's actually come to a few of these nights. Rob's actually written a book a few years ago on weight loss. I'd like to welcome Rob.
Thanks, Rob. So, as Rob said, I work as a personal trainer, exercise scientist and wellness coach. And many of the topics that I'm going to talk about tonight have already been discussed, largely. But nevertheless, I'll still put my spill onto it. And first of all, I want to start off by saying that one common thing which runs through all the topics that we're talking about, cancer, diabetes and obesity, is that they are all preventable. They're all preventable. They're all lifestyle diseases. So that means that something that we're doing in our lifestyle is causing us to develop these things. Of course, there is a genetic component, but largely they are preventable and they're lifestyle diseases. So that means that we have a lot of power and a lot of control and a lot of influence to whether or not we are going to get these things. So the key to preventing many of these things revolves around taking a holistic approach. Does everybody know what a holistic approach means?
No.
No? Okay, it's about looking at the big picture, okay? So I'm not going to make it complicated. Basically, it revolves around three simple keys. What you chew, what you do, and living true. So I could talk for 3 hours on each key, but I'm just going to go through and just talk some basics, because like I said, much of the content has been covered tonight. But the first key, what you chew, that includes your diet and your day-to-day eating habits. So the biggest thing is that we need to be eating whole food, so lots of vegetables. Okay, so if you look at all the most successful diets, and I'm not a big fan of diets, but if you look at anyone who's had success on a diet, one common theme runs through it, and they've all got a high intake of vegetables. Now, Alan's going to talk a lot more about nutrition, so yeah, like I said, I'll just mention a little bit. But the thing about vegetables is that they're low in GI, okay? So low in glycemic index. So you don't get this energy, peakage. You don't get your blood sugar levels going up, and then your pancreas is creating insulin and dropping it down continuously. So there's no high or lows. So that's good for both preventing and managing diabetes. You have a high fibre intake in vegetables, which again prevents, goes a long way towards preventing bowel cancer. I read one study where they measured the bowel movements of the average American citizen, and it was up to 7 days. Some of the citizens had 7 days bowel movement transit time. So that means that if they ate something, it took 7 days for that to come out of their body, which really is quite crazy. I don't know if anyone's pooed on their hand and smelt it, but you can imagine that sitting in your body. It can't be good for you. All right, so sorry to put that in your mind, but I'm just throwing it out there. So they're high in fibre. They're also low in energy, so very low in energy. So you could eat, for example, 50 zucchinis in one day and not put on any weight. 50 zucchinis. Please tell me that wouldn't fill you up. It would, because I often hear that excuse. I'm not a rabbit, I'm not going to eat veggies, it doesn't fill me up. Give me steak. And I love steak too, but yeah, veggies are very low in energy. So that's a very big factor in preventing obesity, which also is a cofactor for preventing diabetes as well. The other thing that all diets have in common is that all good diets have in common is a high intake of water. Okay, so we should all be drinking at least 6 glasses of water a day. At least 6 glasses. Okay? More if it's hot, more if you work harder, but just throwing it out there, of clean filtered water if you can. Okay, so that's pretty much all I want to say about the first key, what you chew. So moving on to the next key, what you do. So what you do includes your diet and your day-to-day exercise. Sorry, I've just got mixed up. So what you do includes your exercise levels and also your sleep, your relaxation, anything you do in your day which influences your health and well-being. So if we start with the first one, exercise. Okay, so exercise is crucially important to preventing all of these things. So there are 3 components to exercise. So you've got like a triangle. So you've got resistance training or strength training, you've got aerobic conditioning, and you've got flexibility. Without worrying too much about the other two, I'm going to talk about strength training, as did Matt, because I'm very big on strength training. So strength training is so important because, again, like Matt said, you get more bang for your buck. Basically, as we get older, we age, and as we age, we lose muscle mass. And what happens is when we lose muscle mass, we have a corresponding decrease in our metabolism. So that means the metabolism gets slower and slower. The only way to increase the metabolism is to put on lean muscle mass, and the quickest way to do that is through strength training. In terms of diabetes, the more muscle we have on our body, the more your muscles take glucose from your bloodstream and stabilise your blood sugar levels. So someone who has a high level of muscle mass is going to have a lot more stable blood sugar levels. Does that make sense? So that's another big reason why we should be doing strength training. So basically the idea is to do strength training, anything such as yoga, Pilates, CrossFit is awesome. Strength training, regular strength training. If you're busy, like everyone is these days, I would encourage everyone to look at HIIT training, so high intensity interval training. You've probably heard of that before. So if you're a beginner, you would do 30 seconds of all-out exercise. So that's pretty much as hard as you can. Rest for about 90 seconds, and then do it again, 30 seconds. You exercise for about a minute and a half, all right, 3 times a week. I'm sure we could all fit that in. And there's plenty of research out there to show that has a massive impact on your well-being. Okay, massive impact on your well-being. There's even a lot of studies out there to show that when it's included with some type of fasting diets that are out there, that it really does help to prevent diabetes. So there's a strong correlation there as well. So there's no excuses there for not exercising. I think that's all I want to say about exercise, but the next important component is sleep. Okay, so if you look at the studies, they show that we're sleeping less, 1 hour less a night than we were 30 to 50 years ago. Doesn't sound like a lot, but 1 hour, if you add it up by the end of the week, that's 7 hours. It's like pulling an all-night bender. And it's okay. I mean, you could probably do that when you're 18. I know I've done it 3 nights in a row, and I was fine. But now, if I go all night without sleeping, I'm pretty stuffed the next day. So that's the kind of impact we're having on our bodies. And the problem with that is that once again, it affects your body's ability to regulate insulin. It affects the pancreas' ability to regulate insulin in the body. And again, it makes you more susceptible to developing things like type 2 diabetes and obesity. So sleep is crucially important. Who here sleeps more than 7-8 hours a night? Put your hand up. Not many people. So my advice to you is to make sleep a priority in your life, just as important as exercise and nutrition. And a little trick I do, if I start work at 6 o'clock in the morning, then my alarm goes off at 9 o'clock at night. So I don't set my alarm in the morning, I set it for night. So I know that I won't go past that time. Of course, when I've got events on and stuff, I take that into consideration, but look at doing that. Set your alarm at night, work it back, 7, 8, 9 hours. You'll feel a hell of a lot better. Okay, so moving on to the third and final key. Like I said, I'm just flying through these keys, just telling you some basics. The third key is living true. Okay, so living true is an open one, and there's many components to this. But one of the most important one is, again, touching on what Matt said. It's about doing what's important in life. Okay, not what is always necessary. Because that's what we often get caught up doing. We wake up. Don't know who here has kids. I know myself. You got to wake up, look after the kid, and go to work full time. Run a few businesses. Life is busy. It's busy. We've got responsibilities, but at the end of the day, we need to make that time. It's crucial to make that time. And a good way to think of making that time is just like your superannuation fund. Most of us here, we should be putting money away for our super. Whether you put away $100, $200 a week, whatever it is, it's just a small amount out of your wage. But at the end of your retirement, you're going to have a big pool of money there to draw from, which will help your quality of life and give you choices in life. So think of your health in exactly the same way. We need to be doing a little bit of activity, each day. We need to be looking after ourselves, cooking healthy meals, sleeping, because if you don't, it's going to catch up with you. There's no doubt about it. It will catch up with you. And coming from my end, I've been in this industry for 15 years, and I often see people walking in, morbidly obese, cancers. If they haven't got cancer, half their family's got cancers, diabetes, all these things. And when you leave it to that stage, what happens is all these things compound each other. Right? They all compound each other. So it becomes increasingly difficult, for medical professionals, to treat these things, because it's largely a lifestyle disease. Okay, so it's important you make that time. And two of the biggest excuses that I hear for not making that time are time itself, so a lack of time, and also motivation. So if we take the first one, a lack of time, as I said before, we all live increasingly busy lifestyles. And I see that every day. I ask people how their day is. How's your day? Oh, crazy busy. How's your day? Oh, just really busy. I just flat out, flat chat. But you know what? We've all got the same amount of time in a day. None of us have surplus time. I hardly know anyone who has surplus time these days. If you do, you're lucky. So my point is, you need to make time, right? You need to make time. That's it. So there's 168 hours in a week. If you were to commit, three HIIT sessions a week, plus a stretch routine, right? HIIT training also works your heart as well. That leaves you with 167.5 hours out of 168 hours. So you're taking half an hour out of your week, right, to make a substantial increase, substantial changes in your health and well-being. So it's not a lot when you think of it like that. So we don't all have a lot of time. I realise that, but we need to make the time. The second component, motivation. That's the number one reason why anyone walks through my studio doors. Most people are lacking motivation to do things, often because they're tired, stressed out, overweight, or all three. Okay, so with motivation, I can't tell you that. That's up for you to find out that. But what I can tell you is that it's got to come from within here. Right? So if Rav tells you to lose weight, if I tell you to lose weight, if your partner gives you a kick up the butt, it's not good enough. It needs to come from you. All right. So I suppose all I can say is what motivates me. So what motivates me is the fact that I love the feeling of being healthy and fit. I love the feeling that gives me. I can do anything. I can travel anywhere, I can run anywhere, I can do anything I want. I'm a role model for my son. I don't want to be overweight and unwell. What is that going to teach him? Monkey see, monkey do. Kids copy our behaviour. Another thing that motivates me, it probably sounds a little bit serious, is the fact that life is so short. Like, it really is short. The average person lives 28,000 days. If you're 50, you've got 10,000 days left. We all know how quick one day goes. One day flies. It flies. So I suppose, without sounding too wanky, life is precious. Every day is just so precious because it's been taken like that. So we've heard some stories here of people undergoing, people have gone through some serious things. So the question, I suppose, is not so much about motivation, but more about having that deep sense of gratitude for life. If you don't respect life, you're not going to respect yourself. It's just a given. Okay, so we need to become more grateful for what we have. We're living in one of the best countries in the world. It's awesome here. You get so many resources, so many health professionals. So much of everything. So living true is about all those things. It's about taking personal responsibility and being the best version of yourself. Not making excuses. Because, things like time and motivation are not a legitimate excuse. No one cares about your health except you. Yeah? You're the only one that's going to change it. So, like I said, there's many components to living true, but I'll just leave it there because I don't want to take up too much time. But any questions?
Thank you, Rob. certainly concur. I've known Rob a long time, and in my little experience, when I was 39, I had heaps of weight on, and I thought I'd better do it for myself because I was going to get diabetes because I've got a strong family history. So with Rob and a few others, we worked together and managed to lose a bit of weight and feel healthier and more energetic. So it's been, I've lived the same sort of thing. So motivation's a massive thing, but it took me a while. So I was pretty overweight when I was in my early 30s, mate. So yeah.
And Rev did give up beers for February, for Feb Fast, which was great. Yeah. Although I think you bought 1 or 2 days.
I bought 1 day.
One day.
Paid for it. And that's the other thing I was going to sort of say. Part of what I want to sort of try and get with the pub clinic is to motivate people and say, well, how can I change myself? And one of the things I did with a few friends here, we did the Feb Fast. I gave up alcohol for a month. And I've listened on the internet and I've listened to TED Talks and things like that where a lot of people suggest doing a 30-day challenge. So perhaps I can challenge all you blokes here to say maybe do a 30-day challenge. Maybe I'll give up sugar for 30 days or beer for 30 days. It's not a long time in the context of things, but it's perhaps try and do it. Touch your toes for 30 days or something very simple. So something that's doable and sustainable, perhaps, and just a 30-day challenge. So I'll challenge you all to do that.
I was just going to say on the beer topic, if I was to include another important point on what you chew, it's alcohol, especially with the guys I train. So many people I train, started off having a couple of beers every night. If you have 2 beers every night, you're talking 300 calories for heavy beer. For 2 beers, that's an hour a night to burn off your beers walking. Right, 7 hours a week, just not to lose weight, 7 hours a week walking just to burn off your beers if you're having a couple every night. So it just doesn't equate. So alcohol is huge. It's huge.
Yeah. Any questions quickly? Yes, Russell, thanks.
Rob, thanks for your comments about being a role model. A few years ago I was lucky enough to listen to Jim Stein speaking at a father-son night, and spoke very strongly about the importance of being a role model.
Yep.
And I think that was a brief comment that you made, but a really important one for all of us, that we are role models for all the people that interact with us in our lives, particularly our daughters and sons, the people that look up to us, that we can give example to our children and our colleagues and friends as to how to live life healthy and the right things to do. And the monkey see, monkey do analogy is absolutely true, and I really commend you on making that comment.
Thanks, Russell. And just to extend that, I guess some of you may know I'm involved with a fair few sporting clubs, and in particular the footy club, and we've got some representatives of the Bacchus Marsh Footy Club here. And part of that being that role model, I think, is also if you're a coach of a team, if you're involved in a team sport, which a lot of our kids are, that's probably that's another aspect of role model. So you can say, well, that coach or that parent is trying to do something about himself. So I think that's really important as a role model, as an extension, especially in the community where we live in Bacchus Marsh.
A lot of you blokes sort of, when Rob and Rav sort of said, give up something for 30 days. Well, a 30-day challenge doesn't have to be taking away something. Do something positive. Eat more vegetables for 30 days. Have a piece of fruit for 30 days. So when they say a 30-day challenge, don't think, oh, I'm going to miss out on something. Do something more positive with it. Create a positive way rather than saying, oh, no, I'm going to miss out on beer. Have an apple a day. Have a piece of celery a day. So 30-day challenge isn't always about stopping you from doing something. It's also do something more positive. Try to do 15 minutes of walking every day.
Yeah, good point. So 30-day challenge, because what Rakesh was saying is sometimes you can add something instead of subtracting something from a 30-day challenge. So yeah.
And can I just say, bro, just what Rakesh just said. Thank you, Rakesh. We've all heard the saying, it takes 28 days, to make a habit or break a habit, something along the lines of that. But anyway, basically, once you start doing it for that period of time, you're going to feel so much better. So after the 30-day challenge is up, chances are you're going to continue it if you're making a priority. So thanks, Rakesh.
Yeah. Thanks, Rob. Thanks again.